Okay, the recording is, I think it's going. Now it's going. Okay. All right.
All right, you ready?
You're the you're the interviewer.
Yes.
I'm the interviewee.
Welcome,
So
Andrew. How are you?
yeah, I'm all right.
Yeah.
Usually, to be honest with you, I'm kind of still asleep now because I don't start work at Whole Foods till 3 o'clock, and I'm usually not asleep till 4:30 in
Oh,
the
wow. Okay. Well,
research smart
thanks
radio
for getting
shows.
up early to,
Yeah.
have this interview. And I appreciate our last interview. And I just felt like when we were talking, I was just like, I want to interview this guy. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that and getting up early. So.
Makes me feel special. All right.
So let me ask you
So,
this. One of the ways you start out your interviews is you ask people to share whatever they'd like to share about themselves. So I'll ask you that. What would you like to share about yourself?
well, I get, I guess, everything in my life prior to my awakening is kind of irrelevant because I was asleep then,
Okay.
like a lot of people. So, like many people, it was the 9/11 attacks that woke me up,
Hmm.
and it was all all uphill after that, yet all downhill after that, because I was on an awakening. I say all downhill, but I shouldn't really look at it that way, even though some truths can be hard to swallow and hard to handle. I've disciplined myself to learn to handle almost any truth, so much so that I've kind of been impatient about a lot of things that happen with the human race, such as the inability to get out things sooner rather than later and all that. I know patience is supposed to be a virtue, and I need to work on it. With my zodiac sign being Tiger and Aries, I tend to have impatience issues, but I need to definitely work on those. I'm glad you're able to laugh at that. And but I've spent a lot of my time since I've awakened doing lots of reading, research, and of course a lot of interviews, trying to find all kinds of
Hmm.
people out there who can both wake me up and wake humanity up. And
Hmm.
it's been a roller coaster ride in many ways, at both a down to earth and a spiritual level. And always trying to improve every aspect of my life so that I can always find something new to learn, and new spiritual things to enhance my life with. It's
Hmm.
been learning a lot of new spiritual awakenings in the process. A lot of meditations, a lot of mantras, a lot of things to recite, a lot of affirmations to make. Anything out there that exists that can enhance one's consciousness and awakening, I've been up for it ever since.
That's
And
cool.
although I will admit, in recent times since I've started working at Whole Foods as a dishwasher, and I must say
Hmm.
that may be the best job in the world. It's a job nobody wants, but it's a job that everybody should love to have. Ever since
Hmm.
I've been doing that, it's been maybe a little harder to work on a spiritual work and all. But do I really need it when I'm washing dishes? I mean, Barbara Marciniak, the legendary Pleiadian contactee, said that when
Hmm.
she asked her spirit contacts and ET contacts from the Pleiades, what are some things I can do to wake myself up? One of the things they actually told her was, don't use a dishwasher. Wash your dishes by hand. And
That's cool.
yes, and if that is the case, then I've definitely got a job that everybody should want to have, washing dishes at Whole Foods, and
Hmm.
it's certainly a job that I should get satisfaction out of, knowing that I'm helping people get what they need, getting the food that they need. You can't have proper food without proper stuff to eat it with, proper dishes
Hmm.
and utensils, and I'm providing that. So that's definitely something that gives me a lot of satisfaction. Now, the trying to get people awake has been harder in recent times, of course, because of the censorship issue. My show has been shadow banned a
Oh.
lot, and that has been a bit of a has been a little bit of a disappointment to see that that has happened. I intend to
Mhm.
ride the YouTube horse till it falls down dead, no matter what. And not gonna. Maybe I
Yeah,
have some other
yeah.
sites available that I could be uploading shows to, but as long as I'm still on YouTube and haven't gotten kicked off by the censorship Nazis, I continue to upload to that channel. And if the day ever comes where they do kick me off, then some of the some of the other channels that I've created accounts with, I'll start uploading to them. I don't think I need to
Yeah.
complicate things too much by
Have you
uploading
seen
too many.
have you seen the Rumble commercial on YouTube?
No, I have not.
Hilarious. It's if you get if it should have been a Super Bowl commercial. I didn't watch the Super Bowl, but it was so funny because it was one of the YouTube guy was dressed as a police officer,
Mhm.
and so the Rumble guy was, getting kicked out for this and kicked out for that, and he's like, yeah, in 3 or 4 months you can come back to us and we'll see if we let you back in. You can plead your case again, So anyway, so I get that. Yeah, that you've been the YouTube police have been on you, huh?
Yes, and I don't know if this is some sort of an attack by the system of domination and control, but there have been a few times in recent in last couple of years where I've been sleeping and entities in my dream have jumped out at me and attacked me and caused me to fall out
Oh
of
no.
bed literally. I People who I've told that to say, well, those entities, they must just be another part of you, because you're infinite. So think about that for a moment. And yes, well, then again, the system of domination and control is another part of me. So everything out there is a part of me. You're another part of me. We're all one
Yeah.
consciousness. So that's an interesting
It's
way of
hard to
putting
get
it.
your head around in this environment, right? Like I've been kind of told I'm not going to really truly understand all this till I check out of this skin suit, you know? So,
Right. But that's why this is always a learning experience. And I have always been, well, ever since my awakening, I have no doubt that karma is definitely real. And, well, of course it is. If we're from a consciousness, then everything that we put out is a reflection of what we get. And talk about bad karma, you mentioned the Super Bowl. I mean, as much of it as of a bummer as it was up here in the Philly area to see the Eagles lose that game. At the same time, I can't help but wonder if they had it coming to them, considering that there were Eagles fans before the game that were trashing the city of Philadelphia. And I'm thinking,
really?
yes,
Uh,
unlike Kansas City Chiefs fans who were calm, cool, and well behaved, Eagles fans couldn't control
yeah.
themselves before the game started. And you're not supposed to riot and trash a city until after your team wins the championship and not before the championship game starts. So kind of celebrated too early, got what's coming to them, the Eagles and their fans did. And yeah, well,
I've
never
heard
supposed to
they're a
trash.
tough fan group. They're
Definitely.
like,
Yeah, oh yes,
yeah.
yes. Love my fellow fans, but they're
Did you
tough.
grow up in Philly?
Yes, in fact, I was born in Center City at the now defunct
Oh, cool.
Philadelphia Hospital. Spent the first 5 months of my life in Center City. And then I moved to the Philly suburb of Lower Moreland, Huntington
Okay.
Valley, and have lived in Huntington Valley ever since.
Hmm.
Um, and I mean, I went to a public school system, and I don't think I was particularly brainwashed because I was able to use my discernment to stay away from what public school brainwashing does. But I guess that's the best way to keep yourself from being brainwashed. Just be open to using discernment, and you will not.
If
You
you
will
can
not.
do that as a child, that's amazing, Andrew, because we do have a very repetitive sort of, system of education. that doesn't encourage you to think outside the box, right? So,
Right.
yeah, yeah.
But I was able
That's
to.
cool. So you were gifted.
Yes. And as far as why I do radio goes, I had called into in 5D radio back when Greg Prescott of in5d.com was doing radio shows on in5D radio. He called it, and that was shortly after the Mayan calendar came to an end when he was doing that. And I called into his show quite a bit, and he loved me calling in because I was usually the first caller on many of his shows, and he kept telling me I should have my own show. And it was when I went to his conference in Sarasota, Florida, and I think it may have been the Quartz Crystal Sand at the Siesta Key Beach that had a little magic here, that I officially decided at that conference, yes, I will take Greg's advice to heart. I will start my own show. And
Nice.
the rest has been, it's kind of been history after that, having a whole slew of different guests on. Doing 2-hour shows, though, for the first times that I was doing the show for the first several years. Yeah, that was great for getting information out. But it's not good for the attention span factor. My audience size count could have been a lot bigger.
Yeah, the attention's getting smaller and smaller.
That's why
Yeah.
I'm doing 1-hour shows now instead of 2-hour shows, because I understand people have lousy attention spans.
Who do you think most influenced you?
Influenced me in what regard?
And just in general, who do you think's been most influential?
Well, it's kind of hard to say. It's not Greg. It wasn't Greg Prescott. Greg, if you're going to listen to this, yeah, it was probably you, because I watched every single one of the shows on his and programs on his YouTube channel when it was on up until like 2013 and all, and that played a great role. Him inspiring me to do the radio show. Now,
Cool.
Also, David Icke, the British orator, definitely I've seen pretty much all of his 9 to 10 hour talks that he's done, and even saw him live in London once, and that was an experience to remember. And but I've kind of been a little critical of the guy in the modern era, because I remember him saying in his Wembley talk in October 2012 that he expects the vibrational frequency of the Earth to keep rising and rising and rising at the love-based level. And if he actually believes that, then he probably should spend less of his time talking about fear-based and negative things,
right?
Which he does seems to do all the time.
Yeah.
Which isn't really such a bad thing if he's trying to eliminate every last weak link in humanity's chain. If there's anything negative out there that's keeping us from awakening, then you can consider that a weak link in humanity's chain. And by talking about negative things that exist, I guess he's exposing and trying to find solutions to those weak links. But at the same time, if the love frequency of the Earth is going to keep rising and rising, then it may not, I don't really think it's probably in his best interest and humanity's best interest to keep doing that at the rate that he's doing it, because there's probably better ways of awakening and solving humanity's weak links than always talking about negative things.
Yeah, separation is not the way to wholeness.
Oh, yes, and I gotta, of course, give Alex Jones of InfoWars a lot of credit for being an influence on me. I say what you want about the guy spewing fear porn being annoying. He's been very significant in exposing things and all that, and awakening a lot of people, especially Americans, American Patriot community members. And yes, I do consider myself a member of the American Patriot community. Unfortunately, I had to, ever since I started doing my radio show, I had to stop attending my Patriot community groups that I had been going to. regularly. Not such a bad choice to there, having to choose between going to the events and doing a radio show. It was on Wednesdays at that time
Hmm.
when I would go to the Patriot community groups, and Wednesday was the best time for me to do the radio show. So I decided that I do the radio show rather than attend the Patriot community things. And no disrespect to the Patriot community, but it's kind of time to move on to new things. And if I'm really going to be on spiritual awakening, then, well, unfortunately, that's not necessarily compatible with the American Patriot community, because a lot of American Patriots, many of them are Christians, which kind of flies in the face of being a metaphysics, consciousness, spiritual guy, because they
Right.
worship God and Jesus Christ, and spiritual people know that there's no higher being that you should be worshiping, because you are that higher being in and of itself.
Right.
So yes, that's but
Hey, Andrew, who's part of your higher guidance team? Like you were mentioning, like when you did the interview before, like that you connect in and you get the guidance on kind of what to say and to ask. And I was curious, like if you'd ever identified them or it or.
Well, I've been told that I definitely have a lot of help from higher ups. And one lady at this spiritual event that I had gone to told me that Archangel Michael was going nuts around me, more so than she's
That's cool.
Archangel Michael go nuts around almost anybody. Michael is my middle name. I don't know if, well, that was what my parents chose, but it's fitting that.
Powerful. Angel. Archangel.
Yeah. He gave you chills just now.
Interesting. Yeah, isn't that interesting? Yeah.
So,
cool.
And, well, also, I've also been had been trying, and maybe I will be trying again to enhance my metaphysics skills. Some exercises I had been doing, like putting down a card in the deck of cards and putting my hand over to try to identify what what card in the deck it was. Also trying like telekinesis and all that. I eventually kind of gave up on that. Hate to give up on things, but I tore off a little piece of paper and tried to use telekinesis to move that paper, and I wasn't going anywhere after a few months. And I eventually decided, screw it, I got better things to do with my life than try to move. Better things to do. I'm sure that, the power definitely exists. Star Wars is truth under the guise of fiction. You can move objects with your telekinetic powers, and you have to believe. Yoda told that to Skywalker, and when Skywalker said, "You want the impossible," Yoda made him look stupid by getting the ship out of the bog, and Luke said, "I don't believe you just did that," and Yoda said, "That is why you fail, because you don't believe." But I'm sure that it's more than just belief. If it was as easy as belief, then, well, it would be, I could just do it, just move that little piece of paper, but with my telekinetic powers. But that was, but it's not that simple. There's other factors involved besides just belief that make it hard for some people, well, lots of people to do that. There's not a small percentage of people have the ability to do it. And I don't know what it is about them, whether they just have DNA codons that are active that we don't, or if they just have guides helping them at higher ups to make it possible to do that, or maybe a combination of the two. But, I mean, I've also been
bending a spoon. I got friends that can bend spoons.
Yes, and I had been taking Aikido for a little while, and saw a video where a guy used the Aikido 1-point principle, the area just below your navel, as a hot spot for being able to get out energy, and he put the spoon near that 1 point, and that enabled him to suppress the strength of the spoon for him to be able to bend it easier. So
wow, interesting.
I should be able to do that because I took Aikido I've been out on a keto hiatus ever since the pandemic. I had been taking Yoda, Tai Chi, and Aikido
Oh,
before
wow.
that, and yeah, a lot of stuff, and that eventually stopped taking that because of the pandemic, and I still haven't gotten back to that yet, even though they've opened all that up. However, before I get back to that, I'm kind of in a little bit of a mission right now to get a lot of my debts paid off. Still got debts out there to pay, and I have reason to believe that paying off debt is a great way to both resolve karma, or at the very best, keep your karma from getting worse.
Hmm.
I inherited as part of a trust fund about $16,000 several years ago, and I used that to pay off my credit card bills. And I remember getting the worst headache ever after pressing the pay now buttons. And then there were a few synchronicities after that that led me to think that it was karma going to the head. Where there, like paying off all that debt, resolved a mass amount of karma in one sitting,
That's cool.
which allowed me to, which was a good thing, but it gave me the worst headache ever. The karma going straight to the head, and but ever
I
since,
have a friend who's a medical medium, and when he's listened to certain, you know, because I like the energies of Theo, and he's listened to some of their meditations, and when he says, he's like, Rita, I got the worst headache ever, and I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, and he was, no, that just means it was really good. So I'd never heard that before, and now you're saying kind of the same thing, like the pain was like energy moving out, right?
Mhm. Yes, and ever
That's
since
cool.
when the lockdowns started, also in it was March of 2020. It was around that same time where I was guided to use to start buying more things. So I am a little bit of debt again, but I think it may have been for the better just to get the things that I bought in order to enhance my awakening. I don't know if you can clearly see in the picture of me here, but I got an altar behind me that's chock
Beautiful.
full of silver and gemstones and crystals and trinkets and stuff. And I also have them decorated all over my house and all. And
Nice.
I think I may have overdone it a little bit on some things. They say you can never have too many crystals, and you can never have too much silver, for that matter. You can have too much gold. Too much gold can give you King Midas syndrome, if you get my drift. But too much
Yeah,
silver
yeah.
is never a bad thing, and I got
Do
a
you have a
lot of
favorite
that.
crystal?
My favorite crystal, amethyst maybe, or maybe rose
Okay.
quartz, because I'm a
Uh-huh.
tiger, and rose quartz is the Chinese zodiac tiger sign's most most related and prominent crystal to use. So says some
Oh, cool.
sources out there. So and I've been told I have a big heart, and the rose quartz
Yeah,
is all about the heart. So I
yeah.
guess it's fitting that that would be my favorite crystal of choice. Very big on astrology too. No doubt that there's definitely some truth to that. Check my Chinese horoscope and Aries horoscope as well on a daily basis. Sometimes I even check the sidereal horoscope. I'm a Pisces in sidereal astrology, but one of my recent interviewers said that sidereal astrology, he doesn't think it's really worth it. Some have said that it is the tropical Western astrology that all other astrologies need to bow down to and look up to as the top astrology. I'm not sure, don't remember what that assertion was that they made to back that up, or what the evidence was to back that up, but that's what they said. So then again, I think it's best not to. It's a tough choice whether or not you want to complicate things by looking at many different horoscopes at once and trying to make sense of all the horoscopes, or better to just go with maybe one horoscope at a time and maybe alternate each day, different horoscope each day. That may be a little less complicated and all that. Oh, little Fido's barking there in the background, huh? Okay.
Yeah. You know, Mutt's my dog. I put the headphones on just in case. Hey, dude. He thinks the delivery people are evil.
Oh,
So
Yes,
Yeah.
dogs like to attack mailman, huh? Yes, that old,
Yeah.
old cliche.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a pet too. My pet
Do
is
you?
I got a goldfish. I hadn't named the goldfish in a little while. Well, that one reason was because I didn't even know. I see you have to go. Good.
No,
Shut your
hold on one
dog up.
second.
Okay. Hello. You still
Sorry,
okay?
Andrew.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I thought for a moment I
A
thought we
friend
lost
a
sound,
friend
but
came over. Yeah,
okay.
so
All right. That's cool. Yeah, I was talking about my goldfish. Hadn't named the goldfish in a while, but I've I've eventually did a little pendulum reading where I asked the
uh-huh.
pendulum, "Is my goldfish a male or female?" Every time I asked, "Is it a male?" it spun in the no direction. Every time I asked, "Is it a female?" it
Yeah.
spun in the yes direction. So I realized, okay, my goldfish is a female. And then I had just seen the movie Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor playing the lead character, and I decided, okay, I'll name my goldfish Cleopatra. That seems like a fitting name. It's also, yeah, it wasn't Cleo, the name of the goldfish from Pinocchio, and Cleo, that's kind of short for Cleopatra. So people can call my goldfish Cleo, just like a goldfish from
That's
Pinocchio.
funny.
So, yes. Um,
Hey, I was going to
animals.
ask you, like, what because you're the thrust of the program, is around expanding consciousness. Like, how would you encourage more people across the planet right now to awaken and expand consciousness, their consciousness?
Just be, as George Cavassalis from Australia likes to say, just be. Well, what does that mean? Well, there's a lot of ways you can just be. Um, Meditation once a day, I've been told, is definitely worth it. But like George Cavassalis says, you don't want to make a meditation into a ritual because then it could be a little harmful if you try to do a ritual at the same time all the time, same length of time all the time, same style meditation all the time. Variety and unpredictability, I would stress, is very, very important in life. Um, Trying to be a little unpredictable because that way the system of domination and control can't hinder you as much if you're unpredictable.
Mm-hmm.
And what are some? Oh yes, and be one with nature. Definitely, definitely. Love animals, love plants. Get out into nature and
Love that.
sun gazing. Yes, sun gazing is another thing that I've done a lot to awaken me and make me feel better. Now I had a very unpleasant life story experience regarding my choice to sun gaze and how it was affecting others. I had a mother. She's retired now. But she was working as an ophthalmologist, and as you can imagine, an ophthalmologist is not going to take kindly to someone sun gazing
Mm-hmm.
because they're all about the sun being dangerous to the eyes. And
Right.
yes, and my mother was suffering so much because of my sun gazing, and she
Oh.
eventually came up to me and straight up told me, Andrew, I'm sorry, but I've suffered so much because every time I see you sun gaze, it's taking a toll on me. I've lost weight, I've lost sleep, I'm wasting away, and I'm losing my sanity. And yeah, well, seeing that
Oh.
my mother at that time, that I remember, it was in October 2015, and I looked at her and I saw that she had indeed lost weight because of my sun gazing getting the better of her, and that was extremely hard on me. Very frightening to
Mm-hmm.
see that happen to my mother. And since that, in the weeks after that, I had been doing meditations to try to heal my mother, and I eventually realized just how much she means to me. And I flat out told her, please do not allow my choices to cause you to suffer, because if you suffer, then I
Right.
am going to unavoidably suffer. Because, well, then I told her that she means more to me than anyone or anything in the world. And I remember her giving me the longest hug after I said that. And, well, she finally got her
Oh.
sanity back. And wasn't suffering as much anymore, and I actually stopped sun gazing in the middle of the day with open eyes. I had been doing it with open eyes all day after I heard some people say it is safe to do it with open eyes all day. I've heard otherwise too, but I had been doing it with open eyes all day, and I eventually stopped that, started doing it closed-eyed during the day, and during the first hour of sunrise and the last hour of sunset when the UV index is at 0. Did I start doing it with open eyes, and but sun gazing is definitely a good way to enhance.
Do you think we get wisdom from the sun?
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm sure we get a little bit of everything from the sun, of what we couldn't exist without it, for all intents and purposes, and well, not as we do, but yes,
Because aren't there like there's temples built to the sun, around the world, right?
Yes, there's also temples and things built to Saturn. That's the system of domination and control there, but that seems to be losing power more and more, because I've heard been listening to programs saying that, like, the moon and Mars are liberated. The Saturn moon matrix has been greatly shut down. It isn't affecting us as much as it used to. So that's definitely a good thing there. And oh yeah, another thing that's good for spiritual awakening, I think, just stargazing. Just getting out at night, if you can, and looking at the stars. It may seem kind of dull in some regards, but no, it's kind of like just sitting in nature in solitude. You got no electricity out there.
Yeah.
Electricity, as you know, like appliances and all that. I mean, there's electricity everywhere because we're an electric universe. And but when you're looking up at the stars at night, it's kind of I don't know if you can hear me, but my computer just self-destructed to prevent overheating.
I can hear you. Oh.
Okay. I didn't. Now I'm recording on video again.
We just had an overheating problem.
Yes, Rita's recording the call, and I'm recording as well. Yeah,
Good.
The computer self-restarted to prevent. Let me make sure my Skype recorder. Yes, it is. Okay. Says you're recording the call too. So just to make sure that this second half here is also on. So folks, sorry about that, and just so you know, you may have to deal with that on some future shows because it's spontaneous. Yeah.
And you were talking about being out and stargazing, because we were talking about, like, you were explaining different things that you've learned that would help with raising our consciousness and being more connected, and
looking up the stars will help us
promoting on your channel.
With our space brothers, I'm sure, yes. And with me, that seems to be the Pleiades the most, I've been told, is the one I have the most connections to.
Cool.
So, yeah, even though Taurus is not my sign, I do have the Pleiades. Aries and Taurus really aren't supposed to get along very well. So, but I don't know if that has anything to do with it, the fact that I have a lot of...
Have you ever seen a UFO?
Yes. The old cliche dot in the sky UFOs, which almost anybody can see any given night. I mean, but does that really count?
Yeah.
Anybody can see. Well, yeah, but I've also seen there was one in the Bryn Athyn area that I saw up in the sky that was definitely some strange looking UFO. That was not one of those little dot in the sky that you see ones that this one was a little bit more just starting the shape of it and all. Have I had a close encounter? I was visited by my future self. That's what Akashic Records reader Andrew Bartz has told me. In it was May of 2015 when the future self was got in my face and seemed to be telling me to change some of my life my life choices and all to try and enhance it for the better. I'm not really going to get into what those choices I that I was doing that the future self told me to change, but it did did make a bit of a difference because I must say I don't get scared easily, but that was kind of freaky and frightening. Because at the time I remember trying to talk to some acquaintances and friends of mine, educate them about how the science of consciousness works and how we're all infinite. And I actually told them after, and I felt kind of weird when I was lecturing to them, like some higher power was controlling me. And I told my friends that after I finished talking to them and lecturing them about how consciousness works and all. And I said, well, it felt like an alien was controlling me. And they were all like, oh my God, we were actually thinking the same thing. It was like an alien controlling you. And then at that point they were like, no offense, Andrew, but I think we should leave right now because you've kind of freaked us out too much. And I was like, all right, but don't worry, I'm sure I'm not under alien control and all that. Well, spoke too soon because after that I went inside my house, and the next thing I knew I had these crazy visions. And I remember I had my eyes closed and I remember seeing like it was like outer space, and 3 humans were sitting on these like space probe things flying through space. It was like something out of a Jetsons cartoon. And
Wow.
yeah, and I was like, what is this? Who are you? What do you want from me? And well, eventually after that, I kind of changed my lifestyle around for the better. And it was from Akashic Records reader Andrew Bartis that I learned that was your future self coming back in time to give you a nice kick in the pants. So yes, so that's the strangest encounter I've ever had.
Have you so are you like do you track a lot of the stuff around the UFO stuff, because they're talking about this, there's been all these disclosure movies out and disclosure documentaries, and that seems to be, there's all these biographies that people are making, who have been off planet and these things.
Yes, I watched every single program on the what channel? There was this the UFO network or whatever it was, or UFO TV. It doesn't that channel doesn't make documentaries anymore, but I did watch every single it was not just UFOs that they were talking about on that channel, it was other stuff, but I did watch every program there. Now when it comes to UFOs, I don't really think it's worth obsessing about anymore, because UFOs, you don't know what they are. You can only speculate. It's a percentage factor. George Cavazos, when I interviewed him, said a certain percentage of UFOs yes or this, a certain percentage of that. So there really is no definitive answer. But I think in many ways it is a distraction from many of our important things that we should worry about. Yes.
What about, like, because I was listening to, do you ever listen to Greg Braden?
Yes, a lot. I'm subscribed to his channel, and don't listen.
What do you think about what he's sharing about that we're like there's aliens that want to come and live on the Earth, and that part of what the changes are that are happening right now, or the things happening on the planet, are related to that?
Oh yes, I'm sure that they're interested in Earth because we are genetic royalty. So says many prominent members in the contactee field, like Marciniak and Alex Collier and others. So yes, they would want to live with us because we're genetic royalty. But at the same time, they think that the human race is kind of not ready to see them. I mean, it kind of bothers me.
Yeah, I would agree.
Sooner rather than later. One thing that really got my goat in regards to that was back when the pandemic lockdowns were happening in March and April of 2020. I remember David Wilcock saying that there were plans to have some 8-hour program released on TV. In the 8-hour program, it would basically explain that, all the conspiracy theorists and UFO and ET nuts, they were right all along, and there is a system of domination controlled by Illuminati bloodlines affecting everything on Earth. But that didn't get released. And the excuse they gave was, sorry, human heart is too tender to release this. We can't do it yet. It's going to frighten too many people.
Well, even for people that are kind of awake, I mean, for me, I used to be afraid of like aliens, and I've gotten over a lot of that, but it's still really interesting, right? Like, it's hard to get your head around some of this stuff. Yeah. At least it is for me, Have you read or listened to any of the super soldiers? Have you interviewed any of the super soldiers?
James Rink, Super Soldier Talk. Yes, him and a few others. Yes, I have. And
Oh,
I've
okay,
interviewed a
cool.
little bit of everybody, and I'm still interviewing more and more and more.
Yeah, you have a very extensive like collection of interviews. It's really awesome.
Yes. Um,
What did you think of those stories? Did they seem,
oh yeah, they seem
do you,
legit. I don't think they're if they're under mind control, they wouldn't know that they're lying, but they certainly
yeah,
believe it. I don't think that they have no reason to fake it,
right.
unless they are under mind control. So, in which case, I don't know that they're faking it. So, yes, it's definitely
Yeah,
worth interesting listening to, and I think there's
interesting.
more people should listen to that kind of stuff. Yes, to know what's actually going on out there. And although, when it comes to waking up, I think there's always a time to move on from some of the more mundane, down to earth, and when it comes to like conspiracy theories and all, yes, they're worth paying attention to, but um, you you kind of need to move on from that at some point. Like some
Yeah,
people, and even certain conspiracies, move on from them, even if you're all about conspiracies, like Alex Jones and all. You never see him talk about 9/11 anymore. He was doing it all the time after it happened. But after all these
hmm,
years, he's decided, okay, it's time to move on. I've talked about it as much as I possibly can. There's really nothing more else I can really talk about. So we need to move on to some other subjects. And of course, when you're done learning about conspiracies and all, even though there's more to learn, you kind of should move on to some other areas like spiritual awakening and all that. And I
right.
do hope at I get my debts paid off from all these crystals and silver and trinkets and everything else that I've bought to enhance my
Yeah,
awakening, and once I get out of debt, which I hopefully will be able to do by the time Pluto in Capricorn ends.
yeah.
Well, actually, Pluto's going to be moving out of Capricorn for several months this year, but then it's going to go back at the end of the year and stay in there until like January, February 2024. By then, I should have my debts paid off, and I can get back to yoga, tai chi, aikido, and some of the other things. And I like to go to conferences too. Conferences are a
Hmm,
great way to make myself and my presence known and activate and all that. And
hmm.
but this year's going to be a little different. I'm probably going to try to stay away from those things just to get. I need to finish things up this year because it's a 9 personal year for me. 9 is a number all about completion, and I think it's better to complete things and get my shit straight. Sorry for my language, but you get my drift. Rather
Yeah,
than
yeah, yeah.
spend money on some other things before I get my shit straight. So, and that includes paying
So let
off
me ask
debt.
you this. So
Yeah.
you get these debts paid off or, like the things that you feel like you want to, so, and then it's like focusing back on the energy practices. Like, what would you do? Like if you could do anything in the world right now, like you had carte blanche to do whatever you want to be doing. I mean, living wherever you want, creating whatever you want. Have you like thought about like, you know, uh, what you might bring to the world?
Well, okay. As far as what I want, luxury is no object to me. I'm the kind of guy
Hmm.
that I would buy the cheapest, most pathetic 1-star hotel reservation if I'm going somewhere for a conference, rather than spend a little extra money to get in a more luxurious hotel. I don't really care about luxury,
Yeah.
so I don't really think I have any incentive or need to buy a live in a big mansion or get a huge limo or anything like that. No, I don't really see that. I had friends that were that were that were very, very poor, and having been around those people, because I never grew up poor in my life, never had to go to bed hungry or anything because my parents made a lot of money, but seeing those poor people kind of inspired me to be able to live off what I got and not really be greedy and just be happy that I
Hmm. Yeah,
have.
appreciative.
Yes, yes. So I'm not really big on luxury. Then again, it's not. They say in some spiritual fields you don't want to like impoverish yourself. Poverty consciousness, while it may seem like a nice discipline to be able to live off your needs and all that, and not be greedy and not have want a lot of things at the same time, it's not really a healthy attitude towards expanding your consciousness. Because if you really are every all that is, was, and ever will be, then, well, poverty consciousness is not really a good way to expand your consciousness. You need to be open to getting a few things, and maybe even
Right, right, right.
get into debt if you dare I say it. But Well, and since I say that, I'd love to see the day where humanity can exist without money. I mean, that would what Akasha Records and Andrew Barr says. When I remember him in his interview with Lance White at Mount Shasta in 2013, when Lance White asked him, "Will the energies of the earth rise to the point where I'll be able to see the day in my lifetime where money doesn't exist?" And Andrew Bartz said, "Yes." Well, sure seems to be taking a while. It's a shame that the gold standard hasn't come back into effect yet. I mean, word on the street is the reason that DT, the guy who lost the last presidential election, the primary number one of all the reasons that they cheated him out of the election, the number one reason was because he wanted to put America back on the gold standard. That's why he hung up a portrait of William McKinley in the White House, because McKinley
Oh, interesting.
was gold. Yes, it was on the gold standard, and he wanted to bring back McKinley's legacy.
Have you heard of Michael Tellinger's One Small Town
Yes.
initiative? Yeah,
Yes,
I think that's a movement towards that, where we're, trading our skills and helping each other, right?
Well,
Like,
that's another issue. I mean, there were some. I don't know if you remember the One People's Public Trust. Certainly wouldn't trust it at all, because the only thing it's good for was getting wannabe sovereign citizens thrown in the slammer with pseudo legal means that don't really work in practice. But one of the things they wanted to do was to get everybody on planet Earth, make everybody a billionaire. Well, a couple issues with that. First of all, if everybody had $1 billion, the money wouldn't be worth anything. And second of all, as Winston Shroud, who's now in jail because he's a fraud, but at the same time, you were some valuable things he did say. And one thing he said was, "Who's going to go to work in the morning if everybody makes $1 billion?" And well, humanity. One issue is that one big question is if we get to see the day where money doesn't exist and technology is not suppressed, so that we can get the technology that can provide us everything we need and then some, are we going to be able to continue working for the sake of being service to others, which we're supposed to become, or are we just going to be couch potatoes and not work at all, thinking everything is provided for me, I don't need to work? So that latter mentality is not going to get us anywhere. But what percentage of humans have that mentality? Probably more than is comfortable. And I feel the obligation to give humanity a kick in the pants to change that. By the way, we're almost at the hour point, and I don't really, I hate calling it short and all, but I'm just feeling my computer again. It's getting kind of hot. It may self-restart any minute now. So I think it may be best.
Well, what would you like to leave everyone with? Is there any sort of key to the nature of reality, or
simply put,
any sort of understanding you want to just leave people with?
I'm so glad you asked that, because
your shares.
Yes, I'm so glad you asked that, because one of my personal favorite quotes was Albert Einstein's, "Don't worry about your difficulties in mathematics. I can assure you that mine are still greater." Well, I have a similar quote. Don't worry about your difficulties understanding the nature of reality, because I can assure you that mine are still greater. And that's why I'm the host of Nature of Reality Radio, because nobody, I can almost, I don't gamble, but I can place a bet that there's no one out of the almost 8 billion people on planet Earth that have a more difficult time understanding the nature of reality than I do. So there's always more to learn. And
there's always more.
How smart you are has nothing to do with what you know or don't know. But knowledge is certainly power at the same time, and wisdom, the ability to apply it. So it's definitely definitely worth doing. And also, having a great brain is great and all, but at the same time, it's better to go with the heart rather than go with the brain. In fact, I don't really focus on chakra stuff. Whenever I see a video based on the chakras, I just really ignore it, because going with the chakras is fun and all. A little bit of variety to use each chakra is great and all, but in general, you don't really want to obsess about that too much, because as George Cavazos says, if you go with the heart all the time, you can't go wrong. I don't know how you can go with the heart all the time and not get bored, but then not use the other chakras and not get bored. But hey, when in doubt, just go with the heart. And also with crystals, I love crystals and all. When in doubt, go with quartz. You can't. It's not my favorite crystal. It is the one crystal that I guess if everybody don't know which crystal to use, just go with quartz. That's a good one.
Love that.
Yes.
I love that. Yeah. Andrew, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to share. Yeah.
It's an honor having you on. Sorry to have to cut it short because of my computer
That's okay.
problem, but I will upload this to YouTube. You're more than welcome to upload it to your channels as well.
Okay.
I don't know if you recorded the first half of this before we got cut off.
I did. Well, it gave me a copy.
Okay, great. So you don't really need me to send you anything to upload this. So feel free to upload this to your channel, upload it to my channel, and we'll and the rest will be history.
Good.
All right. Take care. Thank you
Thanks
for having
again.
me.
You too.
Bye-bye.
All right. Take care.